stream going. Okay, floor is yours, Tracy.
Well, good morning, members of the MAG Technical Advisory Group. This meeting is now called to order. For those participating via Zoom, please state your name when making a comment or asking a question. The MAG public comment process allows members of the public to comment on items on today's agenda or on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction. I would like to welcome Scott Kahn, CIO of Mesa, to the committee. Yay.
And Scott's not on at the moment.
Shoot. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, my pages are out of order. So we'll now begin the meeting with a roll call of all members.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Jeff Sheets.
Sadie Avondale, present.
Greg Pataz. Jim Keane. I see you on, Jim, but I can't hear you. We'll come back to Jim. Tom Bacon.
Present.
Mike Chikaroon.
Present.
Sasan Paridazadi. Feroz Machia.
Present.
Justin Fair. Scott Kahn. Chris Dalmolin. Steen Hembrook.
Present.
Kim Clark. Robert Fisher.
Present.
Tracy Mills.
Present.
Jared Morris.
Present.
Steve Holiday. And Phil Osman. Okay, Jim, can you hear me? All right, we'll come back to Jim later. We do have a quorum.
Very good. Our next item is call to the audience. MAG provides the opportunity for the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda or that are on the agenda for discussion and not for action. Members of the public are invited to submit written comments via MAG website. And those opposed say nay. Craig, can you take a roll call of the members participating virtually who did not turn on their camera?
Yeah, I'm checking right now. I have Jeff. The only one I have not seen is Jim.
Is he still having technical?
Yeah, I have. Oh, Jim, you're off of mute. Can you hear us, Jim? Oh, and we have a Sasan Paridazadi.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning. All
Do we
right,
need
we
to get a
were
roll
taking
call on?
we were taking a vote on the minutes, Sasan.
Okay, aye.
All right, thank you. And motion has passed.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the SunCloud project update. Brian Rubin of MAG will provide an update on the SunCloud project. Take it away.
Thank you. Bear with me while I attempt to share my screen, please. All right. Can everybody see my presentation?
Yes.
Fantastic. Good morning, Chair Mills, members of the Technology Advisory Group. My name is Brian Rubin. I'm a transportation planner here at MAG, and it's a pleasure to be here today to talk to you about the Arizona SunCloud data portal. To begin, I'll take you through what this is, some of our more innovative data layers, and end with a very quick demonstration of the tool. Now, before I get started, I do want to say that while I have the privilege of presenting this work, phase 2 of the SunCloud project effort was led almost entirely by MAG Transportation Planning and Performance Program Manager Ted Brown, and it's been very much a labor of love for him. So what is a SunCloud? SunCloud is the title of an Accelerated Innovation Deployment Grant project that was originally awarded in 2017. ADOT, MAG, SCMPO, and a slew of other partners were awarded $1 million to develop a data portal to increase and improve the accessibility, usability, and quality of data and analytical tools for transportation planning. The goal of the project was to better understand the needs in the corridor and help align policies and strategic investments. One side benefit we heard from our partners over and over during the project, though, was what an enormous help this was, particularly for our rural communities, as this provides high-quality data sets across the entire study area. For our project, the Sun Corridor refers to 5 counties in southeastern Arizona. Those counties include Maricopa, Pinal, Pima, Santa Cruz, and Cochise. Those counties cover a bit more than 30,000 square miles of land and somewhere in the neighborhood of 85% of the state's population. We needed many hands to make light work, so we started a coalition. A robust team of stakeholders that included all of the MPOs and COGs in the region. We had county agencies and, of course, our partners at the state with ADOT and our federal partners with FHWA. Over the next 5 years, MAG led the team that developed and implemented the SunCloud data portal. So I'd like to touch on some of the data layers that the SunCloud portal provides. We have 22 distinct data layers in the final platform, and I obviously can't cover them all. But I will say that we cover all the traditional transportation data sets you'd imagine, from traffic counts to model data to asset condition. However, this being an accelerated innovation deployment grant, we obviously had to do some innovating. And so I just want to highlight 3 data layers. First up is safety. We've applied methodology from the Highway Safety Manual to help identify areas where opportunities exist to potentially implement impactful solutions. To do that, we've combined crash data from ADOT with travel demand model AADTs and best available safety performance functions. The ability to evaluate projects based on something other than just a crash rate is definitely a step forward. The ability to evaluate projects based on predictive methodology, however, is a giant leap forward in the way that we do things. Next up is our disadvantaged facility users layer. So before this tool, all of our equity scores were based on proximity. If you were near a community of concern, you'd get the points that would be associated with it. But it's a less than ideal methodology, as it doesn't take into account who's actually using the roadway in question. So for this, instead, we partnered up with a company called Replica and essentially had them run a select link analysis on each segment of the network. So what that means is that for each roughly 1 mile segment in our network, we got a report about the number of users and each user's home location. So from there, we combined that data with our disadvantaged community information. And with those 2 pieces of the puzzle, we were able to calculate the percentage of roadway users who had a home location in a disadvantaged community. So now we're not looking at, is this next to a disadvantaged community? Are people from a disadvantaged community actually using this facility? So this is a monumental step forward in how we can score equity. An example here is on the screen. This block near South Extension Road doesn't tick any of the disadvantaged community boxes. However, all of the surrounding blocks do. In our old analysis, project would have received a low equity score. But now, using our new analysis method, we can show that over 70% of the people who use that roadway on a daily basis actually have a home location in a disadvantaged community. All right, next up, pavement condition. Years ago, MAG went through an exercise where we collected pavement condition from all 27 cities and 3 nations in the MAG planning area to produce an arterial pavement condition layer. It was a lot of work. Our agencies use 7 different pavement collection methodologies, and it all has to be crosswalked, and the data provided represented different time periods. Nevertheless, we wanted to use the same methodology for the SunCloud, but we quickly realized that we were playing in a much different sandbox than we were with just the MAG region. So to solve these problems, we turned to Wejo and more directly to their partner Neurodynamics for a solution, and they provided a third-party data solution to our problem. This data set that we acquired has a lot of advantages, namely that it provides uniformly collected data from across the region, and every roadway that is functionally classified as an arterial or above is covered in this data set that we purchased. This is particularly useful for those agencies who don't have access to a LiDAR van or a pavement truck to run out and take their own measurements. Secondarily, the benefit is that it provides recent data, as we limited to just the last 12 months when we were doing this. So it's all collected the same way, it's all collected from the same time period, and it's very uniform in that sense. I think we've got a lot of other layers that are really interesting, but I know we've got limited time, so I am going to move on. So what can you do with the SunCloud? It's great that we've got all these layers, but what can you actually do with it? Well, the platform was designed for maximal flexibility, but also for ease of use. So we've tried to incorporate many common and useful tools. You can easily switch symbolization between commonly used attributes for each individual layer. You can filter the data by attributes or geography. We've included the ability to filter by MPO, county, and municipality, as you'll see when I demo in a second. You can print maps for inclusion in reports and emails, and you can finally directly export the data for further analysis in the software of your choice. Our motto throughout this project was the old Muhammad Ali quote, "Different strokes for different folks." And this is the culmination of that effort. Out of the box, we provided our recommendations for weighting based on best practices and professional judgment. But we knew that with a dozen agencies involved and data coverage for dozens more, that there was no one way we were going to successfully land on a weighting scheme that would work for everyone. So instead, we've built a widget where you can set your own custom weights on the fly in your browser and rescore the entire 5-county network in record time. Bridges aren't important to you? Set it at 0 and rerun. You think reliability is a more important factor in new capacity projects? Crank that one up and scroll everything else down. You have the ability to create and rescore with a bespoke set of weights that is tailored specifically to the needs of you or your agency. We're really proud of this feature and the flexibility that it provides to our end users. All right, now I'm going to do the unthinkable and attempt to do a live demonstration. So please bear with me and let's hope this goes well. Okay. Can everybody see? Can everybody see my data window?
Yes, we
Or
can.
okay. Hold on a second. I apologize. Let's get this at a full screen. Sorry.
Currently seeing the web page.
Perfect. Yeah, it just blocked it on my screen. Hold on one second. I apologize. Okay. So this is what you get when you land to the SubCloud page. On the left, you'll see all of the layers that we have available for viewing and interacting with. I'll go ahead and zoom in a little bit to the MAG planning area for you.
Hey, Brian.
Yes.
We're not able to see that screen just yet.
Okay. Let me try this again. I apologize. I knew I shouldn't have done this.
That's interesting. I saw it just fine.
Did you? All right. So I'm hoping it catches up about nowish. Can you guys see my browser window now?
Yeah, right now we're seeing the map, Brian, with your the layers on the left and then the map.
Perfect. Okay, so I'll start again. So this is what you see when you land on the subpage landing page. See all of our available layers for visualization and interaction on the left. I went ahead and zoomed in close to the MAG planning area for this. And I'll go through a couple just quick demonstrations for you. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and switch our layer from the pavement condition that it's currently on over to safety. And I'm going to change our symbolization from excess expected high severity crashes to bicycle and pedestrian fatal and severe injuries. Then I'm going to go over to the filters tab and I'm going to select the type of geographic filter that I'd like to use. In this case, I'll go ahead and pick a city. I'll select one at random. Let's go with Chandler. And when I do that, you'll see that the screen automatically zooms in to the geography that we selected and only shows active data within the boundary of that polygon. So it's a way for you to zoom in and really highlight only the data that you're looking at for that particular member agencies. From here, I can go ahead and click over and I can print out this map. I can include it in a report or an email. I can go ahead and switch over and look at the tabular data behind each of these lines you see on the map. And I can actually go click on the map itself. Any of these segments that are within the active boundary, I can go ahead and click on. Since this is safety, we're going to see some other underlying things, number of crashes, number of injuries, pedestrian crashes, level of safety service, etc. So yeah, basically that's what we can do going in and viewing more deeply. We do have some creature comforts built in. I can go ahead and I can change my base map for visualization purposes. If I want to have my data pop a little bit more, we've got that built in for you. Just little things that make it a little bit easier to visualize and see. Okay. Now I'd like to go over one more example with you, if I may. Can we still see my browser window? Perfect.
Yes, we can.
So I want to give you a bit of a use case demonstration here. This tool does a lot of things well, and one of the things we think it does best is highlighting areas of need or interest. So let's take a moment and pretend there's a notice of funding opportunity or NOFO coming down from the feds that's heavily focused on quantitative data. They want to see some very specific things in your application. In this example, I'm going to flip over to the scoring tab, and I'm going to change these sliders. So let's say for this funding opportunity, they're focused on bicycle and pedestrian fatalities and serious injuries. They're focused on pavement condition, and they're focused on level of reliability. I can go ahead and adjust these sliders. Everything else will adjust with it so that all of our weights add up to 100. I can go ahead and hit this rescore button, and you'll see a flash on the screen, and on the fly, you've got a resymbolization of the network based on the custom weights that you just submitted. It just takes a couple of seconds, and it's a fantastic tool for you to be able to put in what you're looking for and easily extract the data that you need. It's a great tool for developing discretionary grant applications. From here, you can export the entire layer. You can grab just segments that you're interested in. You can pull it offline, do any analysis that you would like to do. And additionally, we've included this handy show hide button so that we can easily revert back to what those base weights were to compare and contrast the changes that we've just made. Go ahead and hop off this live demo for you and take you back to my presentation, if that's okay. Just have a couple more slides for you. I've got some useful links on the screen, and I'll certainly make this presentation available to Craig so he can send it out if any of you are interested. We've got the link to the main site. We've got a training video that was done with our partner agencies. It's about 75 minutes long, but tells you everything you could possibly need to know about the SunCloud application. And finally, we've got the code repository at the bottom. Since this was an FHWA project, we've hosted all of the code and related files online in a Bitbucket. And for the tech savvy among you, which I assume is everybody in this room, should you be inclined, you can go ahead and fork that repository and start building your own enhancements. Before I wrap up, just wanted to address the question we get most after this presentation, and is there a plan to keep this platform up to date? The short answer is not presently. Long answer, most of the data on our platform will stay useful and relevant for multiple years. Some data sets like bridge condition don't change dramatically year over year, while some of our more useful layers do have a shelf life and need to be refreshed more frequently. We're continuously looking for opportunities to fund the platform's upkeep and have recently identified a federal grant opportunity and have submitted our application. Now is definitely a great time to be learning about the platform, as we estimate we have another 12 months or so before we'll need to dig in and start refreshing data sets. Chair, members of the group, that completes my presentation, and I am happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you, Brian. Are there any questions from our members?
Looking forward to getting the links so we can do a little poking around.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I guess that was my question. It is completely open as long as you have the link, correct? I mean,
That is correct.
Logins required. It's for everybody to use. So
Yes, it is.
That's excellent. So yeah, if we can get those links, that would be fantastic.
Absolutely.
I'll send that out immediately after the meeting.
Very good. Well, if there are no other questions, this item is on the agenda for information and discussion only. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're on to item 5, Generative Artificial Intelligence Project. Staff from the City of Glendale will provide an update on their Generative Artificial Intelligence Project.
Good morning, everyone. This is Feroz Rashia. I have with me Arvind Sampath. Arvind is our project manager for this generative AI project that we started back in May of 2023. We delivered our first iteration, which is now live and in use on September 20th, 2023. So you can see the work was done at a fairly rapid clip. I'm going to walk you through, and if you just give me a moment here so I can bring up my presentation.
You do have co-host rights for us, so you
Okay.
should be good to go.
If you can confirm you're able to see my presentation.
Right now, we're seeing the PowerPoint app, and we're seeing your presenter view, not the final.
All right.
There we go.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you.
So, as we all know, generative AI idea and the technology was embraced by everybody at a much faster clip than anybody had imagined before, or any historical technology adoption that we have seen in the past. So clearly everybody was interested. That was true for us in the city of Glendale. And we wanted to make sure that we look at this project not just a new shiny object, but more in terms of what can we do and how should we do it in a meaningful way that we can move forward, grow this, and truly benefit from. So last year's two accomplishments, I would say, our team was able to achieve. One was the AI side of it, and the other was modern data platform. And they are two companion project and complementary project, because you really can't deliver a good AI solution without taking into account data. And there's a third element to it when we talk about AI, which is the algorithms. And I'm going to briefly talk about that as well. So as I was mentioning earlier, the adoption was really fast. We, like many of you, were fielding questions from our business users throughout the city. How can I use this? What can I do? Where would we use it? All those type of questions were coming up. Very exciting time for technologists, purely loving technology. This was a good time to be part of this discussion. Then we looked at it a little more seriously. We said, okay, who's focusing on what? And is this really a media buzz, or are we really in an area where we need to pay some focused attention? So if you look at the CIO Magazine 2024 areas of focus, you can see AI being number one. Cybersecurity, you saw the message behind me, Semper Vigilante. We operate from that mindset of security by design, and data privacy compliance. All those form the complementary elements of how one would look at AI or anything related in that area pertaining to data. So our focus was right, and we continued to move forward. Now, a lot of exciting work was being done every day. There is a news about AI, and you can get inspired, and you can watch great performers perform, and you can inspire yourself with those kind of performances. But that does not make you a player. So what do we do as a player? And that's where we started thinking, how do we do it? So start somewhere, start hitting the ball. And first thing we did was we have to come up with a guiding principle, an idea that we would follow to get to our end state. So it all starts for us with a business strategy. How do we align the AI strategy with the business strategy? Doing AI in a vacuum as an academic exercise is not the intent in the environment that we operate in. Personally speaking, this was something of interest to me. I've written about it before ChatGPT came onto the scene back in 2020 about AI and what it takes to develop something and what are the elements. So keeping that perspective in mind, we started having the conversation. And I'll mention something about what White House put out in terms of the elements of AI, in terms of fairness, transparency, human oversight. All those things were taken into account as we were developing our guiding principle. And once we developed that, we wanted to make sure that there is a acceptable use policy in place. So we formed the policy, went through the approval process, and then AI in general, opportunities were endless, from a very targeted one to a very broad, big opportunities that was truly blue sky opportunity that we could pursue. But what we were considering was, when we deploy AI, who controls the generative AI? Can we answer, based on the knowledge we have, some of the ethical questions, the content that is generated? So all those things we had to keep in mind as we were developing and identifying the opportunity that we need to pursue. Then the big question came up, and you'll see a lot of articles written about it: open versus closed. Our decision to go with a closed system was fairly similar. It was faster time to market. We didn't have the size of the team that we can carve out, that can focus, do research, leverage the open source AI and build something. It would also require us to have significant investment in infrastructure, support services, all those things. And to build an internal control, again, it would require a lot of effort. So we went with the closed system, which gives us all those features in a relatively easy, consumable manner. Time to market becomes important. Similarly, one big topic that was discussed at that time, various different tests were being considered, was hallucination. So training data becomes important. We need to make sure that we control that part as much as possible so that we can minimize any adverse impact. So these are just examples of, and what you are seeing here is a presentation. We did this presentation for our internal consumers also. So we provided this perspective in terms of how the team went through thinking about this project, selecting things. So these are some of the examples that you may have seen in terms of hallucinations, in terms of false positive and results that are not in line with what one would expect. So we made sure that we look at those things and keep our focus on the way that we want to deliver. Now, I would point out this Wall Street article is important because there was this debate or a conversation that started and still goes on, not as much. AI is going to replace humans. At this juncture, with my limited knowledge and what I've seen, I don't think that is a near-term possibility, but things can change on a moment's notice. But right now, as it stands, what is in the market, you can see that there is human involvement, engagement required. So getting in a panic mode that AI is coming to take my job is not the paradigm we need to follow at this point. So we wanted to make sure that we communicate all those things. We recognize the limitations, constraints, the false positives, so that we use it in a meaningful way. And I referred to this in terms of what White House put in place, so it aligns with what we were looking at to make sure the data privacy, human consideration, openness in terms of auditability of a algorithm, all those things should be in place. And we'll show you how we went about that. And this question about, can AI do everything? So I took this screen grab from MIT Generative AI Week. Rodney Brooks is a famous professor, founder of Roomba robot that some of you may have in your homes. And he clearly defines or describes how AI and what human intelligence can do differs from each other. So imitation versus innovation, generation versus understanding, reasoning, and all those things. And it was important for us to communicate this message to our audience and users so that they understand the limits of technology as it stands today. Then there was this discussion about language models. So this is my attempt to describe the language models that are available, and there are much more effective definition, but I grabbed this from Hugging Face, where you can go and get large language models. So it talks about what GPT uses, what BERT uses, and there's a third one, which is T5, text-to-text transfer transformer, which is sort of kind of hybrid. And I'll show you in our selected solution how some of these things come into picture. So as I mentioned, being able to see what is under the cover to a certain extent, how it's being used was important. So here's an example. The solution we chose is called MoveWorks. And this shows you how all those large language models are being used in a given interaction, right? So you can see GPT-4, you can see Roberta, you can see statistical LLM. All those things are combined to give you that result. So when I talk about faster time to market, in order to develop all these things in-house using an open source would have been a daunting undertaking for a team that's not steeped into AI just yet. So that was our reasoning, and this sort of kind of explains how the technology is used. And we can go deeper if there is ever a need, somebody wants to audit this or understand more deeply, it can be done. As I mentioned earlier, security and data privacy is an issue. So we want to make sure the vendor we select has the capability to deliver a solution in a secure and safe manner. So you can see all these domains are what we looked at to make sure that this was the right solution that we were choosing. So you have a customer trust, you have industry certification, access control, data protection, identity input validation, and you'll see some of those examples play out in our deployment. Arvind will show you a live demo from our system. So we'll talk about those in just a moment. And this is just a screen grab of where Blaze, we call this MoveWorks chatbot. Blaze, it's a name team selected. Blazing fast delivery of services or answers, or just simple Arizona blazing heat, however you want to define it. So it lives in a user interface that is commonly used by everyone. So this is one of your team members showing up, and you can ask questions and interact in a natural language and don't have to learn a syntax to do that. And you'll see that play out in just a moment. Delivering any solution and talking about that it is an exciting solution, it's a cutting edge technology is one thing. Showing the value delivery is where the true measure of success is. So this is our daily insight. This particular report is based on a monthly results. So you can see this, and you can see the performance of Blaze and in terms of savings it introduced into our environment. So even though it says 12 months, but if you look on the left, it is from September 20th to January 31st. These are some of the benefits that Blaze has delivered for us. Now, let me talk about why we chose this solution and this use case. The use case we chose was our service desk. There were various different reasons why this was the right use case for us to start with, because we controlled our ITSM data in terms of service tickets that came to us in prior year. Before starting the project, we provided a year worth of data to our vendor partner, asked them to put together a business case, demonstrate to us that the solution will truly deliver the value we're looking for. and they were able to put together a business case, define that, and so far it's consistent with that business case response that they provided. The next thing we looked at was, okay, fine. So IT delivered a solution that benefits them. What's so great about it? Well, what's so great about it is most of you know City Hall remodel project at Glendale is in full swing. We had a fairly old brute architecture building that is now down to bare bones. There will be a new City Hall pretty soon there. We had to move close to about 500 people to different satellite locations, which means that in situations where we were providing elbow-to-elbow support at the desk would be very difficult without adding more resources and without accounting for travel time to these satellite locations. So adding a capability like Blaze allows us to free up resource time. So should they have to travel, they can travel for those high-value activities that they need to perform on site and not have to worry about things that can be taken care of in an automated fashion. So that was the reason why we chose this, and we wanted to demonstrate the value delivery. So without maintaining the same level of service, being able to resolve those issues quickly and efficiently, and providing employee impact in terms of productivity was a compelling use case for us to choose this. Now, with the success of this, I'll tell you where things are right now. Every year during benefit enrollment, our HR team and benefits team specifically gets inundated with calls of various kinds. So our next deployment is with our HR precisely for those scenarios. So we won't be able to show you that because that's an active project. Our goal is to deliver it before our benefit enrollment starts, but we anticipate that it would allow us to produce similar kind of benefits, and it would reduce the phone calls, because today an agent in HR has to pick up the phone, answer that call, and they have the similar constraint of having limited resources available. So this would allow them to do some of those things more effectively, save time, increase productivity. The other benefit in the HR scenario that we are trying to achieve, there are internet pages where there is content that is buried 2 to 5 to 7 level deep. So you really have to kind of go through on a internet safari to discover the answer you're looking for. And if you're not able to, then you call. So in both scenarios, there is significant amount of time investment that one has to make to get to an answer. We will leverage Blaze to serve up those answers, no matter how deep they reside, to the person asking the question, thereby reducing that time to market, time to value time frame. So fine, ITSM, HR, that's not the only AI that we are working with. We'll show you a demo of Blaze, but there's another one that is in place. And again, looking at project from the point of view of, is this the right opportunity and does this deliver a value? So we have a green sheet project, a process today in our city, which is if you are making a procurement of any kind, you're entering into a contract, you'll fill out this paper green sheet, and you submit this to City Attorney's Office for review and approval. So as we relocated people to different locations, that physical paper-based process was not possible, short of people traveling to the office and to the City Attorney's Office, dropping it off, picking back up. So we converted that whole project into a digital project, which means that now that process runs digitally, exact same information collected digitally. But as we moved forward, we asked our City Attorney's Office if it would be okay for us to introduce an element of generative AI and introduce it in the area where it would truly benefit from the time to value perspective in terms of review of contracts, drafting of contracts and agreements, and build a solution that is much more safe, secure. We control the environment, and then they are able to benefit from it in a natural interface that they commonly use, which means our city attorney's office. So that's also in flight. So hopefully, once we roll it out fully, we'll be able to demonstrate that in our next presentation. So let's see that. Last one I'll talk about is this is really something that one can consider as our contribution to the industry. So NVIDIA, you all know NVIDIA being the 800-pound gorilla in the AI space, runs a competition every year. Last year in 2023, they ran this competition. Then we participated, our GIS team participated in this neural kernel surface reconstruction, if I can say it properly. The idea behind that was to come up with a proposal submission that allows them to take a 2D image and convert it into a 3D image. And the benefits you can see are numerous: urban planning simulation, emergency response, smart city initiatives, all those things. So we submitted our proposal. You see this image of State Farm Stadium here, and we were the only one last year. And this is a global competition. We were the only one who won the competition. But that's not the highlight. What is the highlight is what you see here, the GitHub piece where you can see the comments in a discussion thread. We contributed to the actual product development of it. We submitted recommendations, ideas that were to be adopted. So those are some of the things that are going on as far as AI is concerned in our environment. Starting with Blaze, looking at the other option, and this one is the third one, which has a long-term impact. With that, now, if you look at data and its importance, the reason why I put this picture here is because you can see all the names: Tesla, Facebook, Google. They are all the players who are in the AI business also. And they are all the players who have the maximum amount of data as well. So it shows how important and significant the data and ability to manage control data is when you are talking about AI. And this is one of the founders of Google Brain. He talks about the AI and the role of data and the big data and why those two projects are companion projects in our case. So how do we deal with the data piece? We built a modern data platform companion to this initiative. And the idea was to break down silos, get the data that was spread across various different domains within the city, bring it in an environment where we are able to have a good data intelligence so we understand the quality, veracity of data. And that forms the basis of using that data to leverage AI. So ITSM data, it's our data, we know, we control, and we have the ability to maintain the quality becomes part of it. And not only that, we then looked at it from the perspective of, okay, when we are delivering reports and results, can we leverage AI? So what you see here is a council report. What you see on the left, right here, the images is kind of small, which talks about the interpretation of the charts and tables that you see. And that interpretation is leveraging natural language processing. And as you know, it's another part of AI when we talk about AI broadly. So not only we leverage it in terms of production of those dashboards and reports, but it allows us to manage and harness the power more holistically in other domains as well. This is just, again, to put a finer point on human involvement quality of data, ownership of data, it's an emerging space in terms of legislation, in terms of case law, in terms of how it's being utilized, what we should consider and think about. But the training data, which is important data set, if you have the control and the ability to manage it effectively, is an important aspect. And you can see how that training data market is growing. So if you want to have a control in terms of how you develop and deploy AI, these are the aspects that one should consider and keep in mind. And this kind of sums it up. We have to think from a different perspective if you want to change the future. And that's what we tried to do. I'm going to pause here and have Arvind take over and walk you through our Blaze tool and show you a few use cases in terms of how we use it today. Arvind, are you here?
Yeah. Hey, Feroz, I'm here.
Okay.
All right. Good morning, everybody. How you doing? Let me share my screen. And please confirm if you guys are able to see it. Give me a second. All right. I'm trying to share. 1 second. All right. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes, we can. We're seeing your desktop right now.
All right. So, as Feroz mentioned about the Blaze, this particular chat Blaze is actually embedded within our Teams application. So we have the Blaze, which can be added. Currently, we added directly to all the users. It's currently available only for the employees of City of Glendale, and the users also have the ability to go and add it based on from the applications option here. So, what are some of the nice features that we have? So, maybe like some of the frequently asked questions that we have. So, our service desk have noted the frequently asked questions based on the request that they received. So, I can go and basically type in help, and it will give us an idea of like what are the different questions that you can ask Blaze. So, I need a new laptop, or like how do I change my password? So, where is IT located? So, as Feroz mentioned with this remodeling that's happening, this is important because we need to we can add like where the departments are moving so that they can be easily located. So let me just go and check like how do I need a new laptop. So I can go paste here, and basically what it does is it gives us an option. So it gives us an option to submit an approval request, or you can go and you can request this form, which is basically request a new device. That's the form that we currently have within our application. So I can click on submit approval request, and it's actually taking me to the Manage Engine network. At this time, I think it's restricted. So, or I can basically go and click on the submit alternate request, and it will open. It'll provide an option for me to provide with details. And as I click here, it opens a form within the Blaze, and I can provide with a description. My laptop is not working, need a replacement, and I can provide with an impact. Well, it's impacting work stoppage, urgency is like it's affecting an individual, and I can submit it. I don't want to submit it now because it's in production. I don't want to submit it just to really think that my laptop is not working. So, or we have like other options as well. So maybe like someone needs to understand like who certain people are. So they want to know who I am. So who is Arvind Sampath? So they may be curious. So it will give who I am. So it provides with information on like what my role is. So there you go. Like I am the PM. I'm working with the IT department, and my manager is here. This is my office phone number, and I can start. So this is somehow this will give us an idea of like who the person is. Or I can just say hi to Blaze to see like what are the options that Blaze has. So you see these options here. It says fight IT answers, which are all the frequently asked questions that we just saw. My request is basically all the tickets that I have created in the past, and that will give me an idea of like what are the tickets that I created, what is the current status. Or I can submit a request, or I can find people, or currently I have Get Software. At this time, the Get Software is restricted because we have to go through the service desk. We are working on certain approval process because it has to go through several. Sometimes there are exceptions. So at this time, it's restricted. It will direct us to the service desk. Actually, when we click on Get Software, it will say please reach out to our service desk. There is also option where the biggest advantage of having Blaze here is I don't have to go to my service desk to open the tickets every time. So here, I have this issue of GIS web application issues. So when I click on this request, the one that I previously showed is a basic request. It's not a particular form that we maintain within IT, but here we have a form in the sense that we ask certain questions. Okay, give me the description, what issue that you have within GIS. It also asks us a link. It'll ask me an application name. It will ask me the details about this issue. So I can provide with a lot of details in here. And of course, I can fill in the impact and the urgency and of course the subject. So the moment I fill all this information and submit it, the ticket is already created within our Manage Engine application, and the service desk gets notification and they assign it to the right individuals based on the ticket categories. So these are the basic applications that we developed, but also we also want to enhance it. So what we did was we wanted to use Blaze as a knowledge base application. So I can go. We are maintaining certain documents where users can avail those information. So let me give you an example. Tableau dashboard training. And of course, it's based on keywords. I know that I had a typo, but here you see we have this documentation that is available for all our employees. So Tableau best practices. So I click on this. It will take me to the place where the solution where the best practice is maintained, and I can basically open and download it, and I can see all these different options that we have here. So it's the documentation that we maintain, and it will help me out on this. So there could be more, and at this time we are availing an out of the box the feature from Blaze for only the Excel application, but there is more. We can use it for Adobe or Visio or any other software that you maintain enterprise wise. So how to remove duplicates in a column in Excel. So maybe someone don't know because they don't know Excel much and they want to know how to do it. So this information is basically fetched from online internet. So here is the link that is provided, which will take me to the Microsoft page where it will tell me the steps. Okay, here is how you need to do it. You need to go to conditional formatting. You highlight the cell rules and click on duplicate values, and that will basically highlight the duplicate values. Or if you want to remove it, here are the options. So we avail this feature. Currently, we are restricted because of we want to ensure that it's available enterprise. So it's restricted only to the Microsoft applications at this time. But if you have any particular software that is enterprise wide and that is available in Blaze, you can use that so that people don't have to worry about Googling information. They can just click here and we will direct them to the right page because these are very safe sites that will be directed to, and where to find the right answers. So these are some of the nice features that we have. And as Feroz mentioned earlier about the HR benefits, it's work in progress at this time. We are working with our HR team along with our vendor partners to see how we can avail all those features for the HR module. Any questions? All right. Thank you so much, and that's all I had for this presentation.
Thank you. Any other questions from the group?
So one other comment I would make. So it was important for us to make sure that information we are serving up or information we are leveraging to answer those questions is coming from a reliable source. And there are other guardrails provided based on the role-based access control. So for example, if Irvin were to type, how do I configure my Palo Alto? Both Irvin and I shouldn't be asking that question, or shouldn't be configuring Palo Alto. That's a network team's job. It will come back with an answer of, sir, do you want to open a ticket or refer to a service desk for help, and not allow that information that may be available in a public domain to be presented to an employee who shouldn't be doing this kind of work. So we're controlling those type of activities or questions that may provide information that may not be relevant to a person in a particular role or task. So there's a whole function around role-based access control to the information that they are requesting. The best part of this is that the interface that they use commonly, they don't have to leave that to get those answers. They can stay within Teams and conduct all those inquiries and get the responses back.
Faraz, I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
And it was in your slide deck after you had gone through showing Blaze and what you guys did with it. I saw a bullet point in there that mentioned that you were not allowing AI to look at your internal data to learn. And that part didn't make sense to me.
So there may have been a typo. I can go back, but no, we are leveraging our internal data. Mistype. We are leveraging our internal data, and we are leveraging external data from reliable sources. So that part is more, I would say, constrained. We're leveraging, because, as I mentioned, we provided movers with our data and had them do the analysis upfront to see if they are able to deliver the value that we were looking for in terms of efficiency, in terms of reliability of answers, all those things. Because, well, honestly, if they were not able to do that and they were rendering responses based on generic external information, those answers would be irrelevant. They will not work in an environment. Now, if you're asking about a basic generic function of Excel and how do you add a column or delete a column, that's a different issue. But if you have a specific application that only exists in Glendale and it needs, I need a different role access in that application, you can't get that information from outside. It has to come from within our system. The part that this will continue to evolve and grow that is not fully visible here is the automation behind this. So what that means is, let's say a manager in HR hires an employee and they want this employee to have certain type of access on certain systems and applications. So without going through the paper-based process companioned with an email to service desk and a ticket and all that, it would be a completely automated process that can run when a chat is initiated with bot that we have a new hire and there's a name, and that behind the scene process works seamlessly, integrating your HR, your access control for various different applications based on the role of the person, down to the physical access. We're in the middle of implementing a new physical access control system, so these will be all tightly integrated. So from onboarding to somebody retiring, you can automate the entire process through a simple interface. And that's what's in works. That would be, we're in the middle of a couple of projects. There's a timekeeping project that's underway, and then physical access control. So one of those, when those systems are online, we'll plug those in and it creates then that seamless sort of kind of integration.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I'm not hearing any other questions, so I'm just gonna thank you, Faraz, for that great presentation. It's always exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Scary, but exciting, I guess, right?
Yes.
So this item was on the agenda for information only, so I guess we will pass it on to item number 6. Thank you. This is agency project updates. Committee members can discuss current projects that may be of regional interest to the committee. Anybody want to speak about what they're working on?
Well, I'd love to speak up, but I'm still being fed through a fire hose here in City of Mesa, trying to figure out we're really doing that, really? Probably the top projects for us are public Wi-Fi, still putting fiber in the ground and WAPs up on traffic lights and lighting posts and making that a reality, particularly in downtown. And smart metering systems for water, gas, and electric, all going in throughout the entire city right now. So those would probably be the big ones for us.
What technology are you using for your smart meter? Is that
radio, actually?
Okay.
Radio transmission. So I don't need
Is that
Wi-Fi.
low RAN or LoRa? I can't remember what the term.
LoRaN, yeah.
LoRaN, yeah. Is that what you're using for the communication? Excellent. Well, thank you for speaking up. Welcome aboard.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Loving life right now. Like I said, just being fed through a fire hose and looking forward to getting to know everybody else on the call here in future meetings.
Well, excellent. Well, from Surprise, we've got a few big things going on. So, 911 managed services has been a big topic for everybody. We actually have a go live date of April 10th. So we will be switching from the regional 911 system to the state managed services through AT&T system. So there's a lot of planning that has been going on that, but we do have a go live date. We just completed a ERP needs assessment for our needs assessment and what our current state is, so that we can start looking at what's working, what isn't working, and do we need to start budgeting and planning for a replacement, or if what we have is the best out there, or that is meeting our needs. So we're going through that right now. We actually, a couple months ago, we were approved for our police CAD RMS replacement. That is a 16 to 18 month implementation. So that's kicked off now, and we will be replacing a system that has been here since 2003. So a lot of hope for improvements. I think that our users, it's going to be a big challenge. They don't know what they don't know that they can do. So trying to update them on new advancements in software instead of adapting to what the software has available to them, and adapting their policies and procedures that way versus looking at what the software can now do. I think that's going to be helpful. Looking at a second radio communications tower with partnership with the RWC. So we have our first tower online in the city, which is the Simulcast G 700 megahertz frequency radio and VHF radio for public safety. So our first tower is online, but we still have quite a few deficiencies in the city. So we're looking at where that second tower will land, and pray for funding. So that's kind of some of the big stuff. I did want to throw this out there, and I don't know how we can chat offline, because I want to be respectful that this is a public meeting. But we did receive our server virtualization renewal, and we were very shocked on the renewal costs this year for our vendor that we're using, that it was bought out by a bigger vendor. And I hope you guys all know what I'm talking about there. So would be very interested to chat offline with anyone that would like to, with what their stance is going to be, or if there's going to be changes moving forward on server virtualization. And I'll pause and I'll let anybody else speak.
Hey, Tracy, this is Dean Hamburg, City of Phoenix. Just going to give a quick update. One of our big projects that we kicked off this year and definitely is going to go into next year is began with a CRM assessment where we're basically looking at all of the technologies that residents can touch to get city services or information. The City of Phoenix has a My Phoenix 311 application that's essentially a hub that connects all of the back office systems to residents. But the way that the city is set up is a lot of decentralized IT. So there's a lot of historical legacy systems that were developed, essentially to meet a department's need and not necessarily, focused on a streamlined or efficient way for residents to get services. So we're doing an assessment of all of these technologies, and next year we hope to start a process of trying to make it a lot easier for users to get access to this information or to get request services, as well as to get information. And one big area that we're really interested in is how can we do this with a single identity? That's it.
Thank you.
Tracy, if I can make a quick clarification to Scott's question earlier.
Sure.
So I'm just going to bring up that one slide, Scott, that you read, and I want to clarify that. Can you see the slide, everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So the comment here, which privacy-friendly GPT version, which does not use our data to train the AI. What that means here is that the AI is trained externally because we are, again, buying a closed system. But our data that we use to leverage this AI capability will not go out of our environment for a larger AI training. That's what it meant. I'll have to rephrase this so that it clarifies. But that's the intent of this solution, because we have our contracts, legal documents that are cities own, and we don't want those out in the larger training pool. Now, somebody can request those through FOIA, but we don't want them out in an uncontrolled fashion. So we want to make sure that that data stays with us. For larger training, it's not consumed without us explicitly either providing that access or making it available for others to use. So that's
for us that makes more sense to me. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
I mean, we're actually looking at a couple of packages that would prevent our data from going out into the wild via use of ChatGPT and other AI engines out there.
Yes.
Where if we've got a 300-page PDF document that we really don't want released,
yes,
and somebody is using ChatGPT to say, please summarize this document.
Yeah.
We're looking at how do we pull the reins on that and make sure it doesn't get out there.
Yes. Yeah. So none of our data goes out. Even so, when we're looking at the HR data, one of the primary consideration that we spend time, where do we start and what information should be made available even within the organization to control the access based on your role is essential. So yes, that is something we're paying close attention to as well.
Yeah, appreciate the clarification.
No problem. It got me a little worried. So.
Tracy, this is Jeff with Avondale. Somewhere we got a lot of construction projects, a lot of growth that we're managing through. We are working with RWC and Goodyear for a new tower down south by the raceway. Partnering hopefully Phoenix and Goodyear will be the key partners there. And then, yeah, we are anticipating our renewal coming up. So looking for plan B or C or something like that. I've yet to see the other numbers, but I
Mine
imagine
was
it's going to go up. So
3.5 times more. Just
wow. Okay.
FYI.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Not good news, but thanks.
Well, it's across the board. Call it inflation, call it supply chain, but it's happening.
I expect, you know, a slight increase year after year, but this was, you know, tripling our our current budget.
Yeah.
I'm not even I was still I got it Thursday and I'm still really sick over it. So you know, we're like about through our budgeting process for FY25, and now I got to go back and say I need this much more. You know, when we're being asked to be, you know, very cautious with our budget, and can you do with your, you know, 24 budget again? That's I'm still in sticker shock. So it's going to be an interesting year coming to determine where we sit with that.
So are you predominantly on-prem?
Well, I mean, we've got yes.
So maybe this is the time to do some rebalancing. Not
exactly.
Move lock stock to the cloud, but some rebalancing to kind of help out.
Yeah, I think we're going to be taking this year to really evaluate, you know, through this year, evaluate what our stance is. Yeah. I'm just speechless on it. I'm sorry.
I've been through this similar situation just this year in a slightly different area, but yes.
Yeah, it's a lot. But anyway, we'll get through it. It's a good exercise, right? Anybody has any good feedback, I'd be happy. I'd love to hear, you know, offline, you know, some of the strategies out there that is helpful. The other thing I wanted to mention is I am looking at some of the bigger cities, or well, not even bigger cities, some of the cities that have actually gone through the full 365, you know, the file migration, and just kind of what your structure ended up to look like. We're kind of in that discussion right now. We still have files on prem, but we're kind of a hybrid model, but I'm really looking at our teams are struggling with how to organize our SharePoint sites. And I would love to, you know, have some one-on-one time with some of the cities that have done it, are living it, what's working, what should have been different, so that we can you know, continue to get that. I don't want to go back and have to do it again. Let's put it that way. I want to try to get it set up, and I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it twice. And so I'd love to learn from all of you on the gotchas, you know, what's working, like I said. And so, you know, feel free to give me a call. I'd be happy to meet with anyone. I mean, consultants are only going to help you so much, but you know, because I've actually like sought out expertise, and you know, they're like, yeah, you can do it these 5 different ways. Well, help us determine that best way, and it's my struggle right now.
Well, it's the only thing I can say is that struggle will continue for some time, because to get to the answer, there are no simple, easy paths. Yeah, frameworks are there, but they are frameworks. Applying that framework in the context of your environment, that's where the challenge is. And then where do you start and what is the right pace. We're in a similar situation. We're maybe not that further along, but that's the challenge. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, there's no perfect single solution.
It's an art, right?
Yeah, it's an
sure
art, and it has to be contextualized in your environment. Yeah,
Right.
you can build a perfect solution, but it doesn't work for everybody in your organization, or it's too nuanced, then you lose engagement and interest and use of that technology that you're looking for. So
It's such a balance of, keeping it easy for the end user.
yeah.
What we're trying to do, from an architectural standpoint, what makes sense to us is not going to be easy.
Exactly.
And so I straddle that,
We're probably around the same area in terms of working through this, and
Okay.
it's a struggle.
Yeah. Anybody else care to share anything that for the good of the committee?
So Tracy, this is Robert from Scottsdale.
Yes.
We just kicked off a minor little ERP project 3 weeks ago. So I think there's only been like, I don't know how many meetings are going on each week. It is huge. So we'll know more, in the next few months, but it's going to be a 1.5 year, long project to get everything done that we need to get done. So
you have selected a vendor and we've
gone through the full RFP. We've got consultants on board helping lead the project. Yes. So we've done all of that. So if you're interested in, I can send you the links to our council agendas with the contracts and all that. If you want to.
Have you ordered the wet bar for your office yet?
I'm not leading it, so luckily I have not. But I'm sure some of the people might need that. So
that's funny.
That was the first non-disclosure that
we received our current state, and it was pretty interesting because our finance people just think it works great, but the end users did not. So it has been an interesting read. So I think we're next up is, to kind of look at inviting vendors to come in and kind of show their applications. And so it'll be interesting. We went through the ERP thing a few years ago, and I can't believe we're already doing it again. So we'll see where it ends up. But yeah, Robert, good luck.
Thank you, GPT, for accelerating the pace of change.
All right, so let's jump on to number 7, request for future agenda items. Are there any requests by TAG for future agenda items? I know, Steen, you had previously asked for a discussion on practical uses of AI. Is that still something that we want to talk about or kind of keep on the agenda? What's your thought on that? Anyone?
Well, I can tell you, I thought that Faraz's demo was great. I thought that was really helpful. And in fact, I was texting my team mid demo saying, we're going to talk to Glendale.
Yeah.
In this case. So I guess my recommendation would be keep it as an open item for innovative uses of AI where, we can showcase what we're doing and hopefully we can all learn from each other.
Yeah, sounds good.
And so anybody wants to have a deeper dive sort of working session, any of those things, happy to do that. So you can absolutely reach out to us and we'll put you in touch with the team.
Fantastic. All right.
Tracy, I'll piggyback on what Steen was mentioning.
Okay.
We'd be very curious into how everybody is educating your staff, your city staff, on the use of AI or proper use. How are you going about educating them on what you can and can't do, as opposed to just setting a policy out there or guardrails out there? Is there a class you're having them go to? Is there a document you're having them read? How are you educating them and giving them the ability to create their own thought processes on, gee, if I did this, I could use AI.
So
we're sitting here struggling with what's the best way to go about this.
So I can share this. This is outside of the project. I'm working on putting together an AI class, not necessarily a development type of thing or coding, just understanding the range and the scope and possibilities type of discussion, taking into consideration what is responsible use of AI, taking into consideration when you engage with vendor, because right now, any vendor that's going to knock on your door or send you an email, it's going to say, oh, we have this fantastic AI capability in it. Everybody and their brother has AI. So how do you ask those questions? So some education for our procurement department so they can adjust their language. And in our third-party risk, we want to introduce this piece also. So ability to ask for transparency. So you saw that slide that comes from the vendor because we asked for it. But show me how your tool works, what's underneath, right? So I'm putting together something, we'll run it for our team internally within IT. And once that is done, we're going to convert that as a train the train model so we can kind of do an outreach to all our 20-some departments and then coach them and guide them. The presentation I shared with you, we have a data analyst group within the city, and they were curious. So one of their quarterly meeting is where I presented this. So what I've tried to do is consistency of message throughout, from a leadership down to the individual groups. So if you give me a little bit of time, I can share some of that content and you can make it your own for your internal use. We can do that.
Yeah, I think for us, we're still at such an infant stage. We're still trying to work on our policies. We block as much as we can at the firewall level for outbound. So we can just help prevent it from going out for now, but that changes every day. So it's we've got to get ahead of it, but we really are focusing on our policies, ensuring that any new purchases have a statement in there, whether they have an AI component, things like that. So that's a very good point though that you have about actually educating the user, and I'm going to definitely bring that back to our teams as well.
Yeah. And so I briefly touched on the OpenAI piece, the infrastructure need. You cannot take it lightly. We're not OpenAI, so we can spend $750 whatever $1,000 for a single query and build a model, develop. Yes, you'll get something, but there is a significant infrastructure need that needs to be addressed. Just an example, our current Azure footprint, when we were looking to use NVIDIA GPU for large geospatial data set to do the analytics, we couldn't do it. So right now we are with OCI to build that out with a specific tool that would allow us to do that. So going through that kind of a rigor and exercise to determine what the infrastructure needs are going to be. These are real questions and challenges that are going to come through. I'll give you another example. Last year during Super Bowl, our police department was approached by a vendor that would provide an image detection software that would determine if somebody is carrying a weapon. Absolutely fantastic use case, because you're in a large public gathering, and if you're able to isolate those type of things, you can proactively prevent a lot of things from happening. But when we looked deep into how that would be deployed, the networking aspect was cost prohibitive. Looking at it, how far and how wide you would deploy. We asked them to provide us details in terms of how their AI worked, what their training model was for those image recognition, the false positives and all that. We couldn't get all that detail out of them. So those are the real challenges that we will all encounter, because you pick any vendor and they're going to tell you they have AI, right? So that's the issue.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll get back on agenda items. I mean, if anything has anything throughout and, you know, before our next meeting, just let us know and we'll certainly get those added. So the next meeting of the TAG group will be Thursday, May 16th at 9 a.m. Please note the earlier time with no further business. We can adjourn this meeting. Unless there's anything, I'll pause one more time in case there's anything that I missed. Craig, do you need to summarize anything? Do we need to motion to adjourn or?
No, we do not. I just sent out the email for Brian's presentation to everybody as well.
Okay. I guess I do have one question. Is everybody good keeping this, you know, remote? Do we feel like we should, you know, maybe once a year meet in person? I mean, I'm kind of, you know, I know we're all technology and we're all busy, but does it make sense to have a in-person meeting at one point, or are we all good with, you know, this format?
I'm okay with remote. It's easier.
Yes, for sure. It's hard to get away because it's,
This works for me too.
Well, it might be nice to get together for 1 or 2 in a year.
yeah. Just, yeah. Okay. Well, let's, yeah, maybe we can talk about it a little bit more. I know we've ran quite long on this meeting, so, maybe we could put it on the agenda for next time and maybe decide which one we actually want to focus on. And if we have enough time, then we could actually plan to be there for a meeting. So I like it. All right. Well, with no further business, today's meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.